Hello and welcome to the Beacons Broadcasting Network production here on Stretch Internet Portal. This afternoon, the red-hot UMass Boston Beacons get set to take on their LEC foes from the south, the Western Connecticut State Colonials. Hello, I am John Scudris, getting you set for another interconference matchup between the Beacons and Western. The Beacons have won 7 of 8 games, outscoring their opponents 23-5 over that time frame, including a 7-0 win over UMass Dartmouth, their first triumph over that team in 7 years. Western, meanwhile, is coming off a 3-2 double overtime win against SUNY New Paltz. For the Colonials, the only constant is their inconsistency this season, as Western has not won back-to-back games during the entire campaign. That bodes well for the Beacons, who will try to shine a light to their 9th victory of the season. As we continue on here on the pregame show, let's take a look at the statistics on the season for these two clubs. For UMass Boston, 8-4 overall and 3-0 in the LEC. They're averaging an impressive 2.9 goals per game, over 1 goal per game higher than the visiting Western Connecticut Colonials. As for their ability to punish shots on goal, they've done a good job of that as well. 17.9, nearly 18 shots on goal. That's near the top of the LEC rankings. Meanwhile, for Western Connecticut State, you can see there their inability to put the ball in the net on a consistent basis has led to that 5-6-1 record, as well as an 0-3 mark in the Little East Conference. One thing, though, to keep an eye on, Western Connecticut State's ability to get corner kicks. That's one of the few areas where they are beating the Beacons statistically, as they do a good job of getting opportunities off the corner all season long. As we continue ahead, let's take a look at a player to watch for UMass Boston this afternoon, senior midfielder Douglas Silveira. He's the only 4-year player on this roster, and it shows with his statistical prowess, tied for 4th in program history with 17 assists, and 5 of his 13 career goals have been game winners. Meanwhile, this season for Douglas, he has started all 12 games he's taken part in, scored 2 goals, assisted on 3 goals as well, for a total of 7 points. He's also been very good defensively at his midfield position, contributing to the Beacons having won 7 of 8. This isn't the only affair going on around in Beaconville. Let's look at what else is going on in the UMass Boston sports world. Women's tennis hosts Bridgewater State today. That match beginning right around the time this game will begin at 1 p.m. in a few minutes. Meanwhile, the 3-0 women's soccer is at 3-0 Western Connecticut State. That is, of course, their conference records in the LEC. A great matchup going on down south at Western right now. We'll keep you updated on that throughout the games. I'm sure there are some interested fans of women's soccer, including our producer here, as he continues to do a great job every afternoon. We'll get more on him and the rest of my crew here in a little bit. As for volleyball, they continue day 2 of the Beacons Invitational. As they continue what has been a strong season, the Beacons women's volleyball team, always one of the best in Beaconville, and they've continued that so far this season. And now we look ahead beyond this afternoon's affair against Western. The Beacons will continue what has been a strong stretch of games, as they will stay home on Tuesday to take on Salve Regina at 3 p.m. That match right here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. Then the Beacons will head out onto the road for a bit of a road trip the week after that. Saturday, October 18th, they are at Keene State. The Owls will play host at 1 p.m. that afternoon. And then on Wednesday, October 22nd, a big matchup against Worcester State at 7 p.m. under the lights, as UMass Boston will look to get back on top of the LEC standings. So for UMass Boston, I mentioned their success as the players get ready at their respective benches. I am John Scudris, along with my crew here high atop Beaconville. We're even higher than we normally are here in the broadcast booth, indoors this afternoon. It's been absolutely putrid weather all morning and afternoon long here in the Boston, Massachusetts, as we really can't catch a break, although I guess if you're a gardener, you do appreciate this weather. But the Beacons will hope to shine a light and perhaps get some sunlight later on this afternoon as they look to get another victory. For the first time since 1992, UMass Boston sits atop the conference standings after 3 weeks of Little East play. Last Saturday, UMass continued their Saturday dominance, having pulled off one of the biggest wins in program history, defeating 3-time LEC tournament champions Eastern Connecticut State University to improve to 3-0 in the conference. They'll look to continue the dominance of Connecticut with a victory this afternoon against Western. The reigning LEC Offensive Player of the Week, Pedro da Silva, scored the lone marker in that game to give the Beacons their first win over the Warriors since 1999. That's right, 15 years it's been since they beat the Warriors of Eastern Connecticut State. The weekend before that, they defeated another foe, UMass Dartmouth, for the first time in 7 years, since 2007. So the Beacons are breaking down barriers this season. They'll look to do it again this afternoon as the starters line up, getting set for what will be a spectacular afternoon of soccer, even if the weather out here is unspectacular in its own right. Beacons right now, I mentioned their success this season. Well, that success has really lasted for a few seasons against Western. Over the last 4 years, the Beacons have outscored the Colonials 12-4, including a pair of shutouts. And coming into today's contest, the aforementioned Pedro da Silva sits amongst the top 15 goal scorers in D3 with his 11 markers. His 4 game-winning goals also places him tied for 7th in the nation, while his 23 points has him in the top 30. 2 weeks ago, Da Silva became the first player in program history to be named the Disney Soccer/NSCAA National Player of the Week. So we'll keep an eye not only on Silveira, but also on Da Silva, as they will look to lead the Beacons to victory this afternoon as they look to improve to 4-0 in conference. You see the players line up surrounding the trifecta of referees in the middle of the field as they get set to introduce the starters and do the national anthem. We take a look at Western Connecticut State now, from Danbury, Connecticut, founded in 1903, an enrollment of 5,907. And for the Colonials, that paltry enrollment, while it may not be directly related to their paltry record, it certainly hasn't helped. The Colonials of Western Connecticut State are looking to end a 4-game skid to the Beacons of UMass Boston this afternoon. They're also in the hunt for their first 2-game win streak of the season. I mentioned earlier the inconsistencies of the Colonials all-campaign. Vigan Pakuchu has netted a huge goal for the Colonials in the 105th minute their last time out against SUNY. That capped off a 2-goal day for the sophomore en route to victory. The last time the Colonials walked away with a win over the Beacons was way back in 2009 when they earned a 3-0 win at the Western Athletic Complex. This season, Cole Hyla has been the go-to scorer for the Colonials, having registered 6 goals and 14 points. To date, the sophomore sits 7th in the conference with his 1.17 points per game. His 6 goals also has him tied for 3rd with UMass Boston's Elton Texera. In goal, Austin Tierney is ranked 3rd in saves per game with 6.17 and is 4th in save percentage with a 7.87 mark. On Monday, the East Hampton, Connecticut native was named the LEC Rookie of the Week for the first time this season. Last week, he totaled 10 stops and had an .833 save percentage in a 1-1 week for the Colonials. So we mentioned Da Silva for the Beacons. He is, of course, towering over the competition in basically the entire LEC. 11 goals in 12 games so far this season. He is a terror when he has the ball between his legs, and that continued last time out as he delivered a goal for the Beacons en route to victory. As for the contributors on offense outside of Da Silva and Silveira, keep an eye on Elton Texera. I just mentioned him, 2nd on the team with 6 goals. Rolando Barbosa, he does score. He's got 4, but he is also a catalyst as a playmaker, 2nd on the team with 5 assists. You can easily tell him out there. He's got that mini afro, easily to see from up here in the booth. Certainly easy to see from your computer as UMass Boston gets set to take on the Western Colonials. For the Beacons, it's likely going to be Alfonso Rosales in net. He has started all 9 games he's played this year. In fact, he started 9 of 12 for UMass Boston, and there's a reason for that. Leads the team in goals against average with a sparkling 1.02 mark. He's got 24 saves this season, and it's a big reason why he's 6-3 overall and why the Beacons are looking for their 9th victory already on this campaign. For Western, keep an eye on Austin Tierney. He started every game for the Colonials this year, a 1.68 GAA for the visitors from Western Connecticut. So as we get set for some soccer, the two teams are heading to their respective benches. Once again, I am John Skudris from high atop Beaconville. A gloomy afternoon. Rain continuing to pour down on the players, on the fans, whichever ones were brave enough to make the trip out, and would have been on us if we weren't lucky enough to be indoors this afternoon, avoiding Mother Nature's wrath. So as both teams huddle up, getting set for some soccer, we take a look at the UMass Boston roster. In net, it's going to be Alfonso Rosales, number 99 in the scorebook, number 1 in your hearts, and number 1 in the LEC statistics all season long. For UMass Boston, surrounding him, Spencer Saunders, Steve Sosa, Edmilson Barros, number 3, Elton Texera, number 4, Pedro De Carvalho, number 5 is Miguel Alcantar, number 6, Matias Reese. Paul Earn is a fabulous two-way player, although he's spectacular defensively. He'll look to continue that today. Luis Matos is number 9. Keep an eye on him as an attacker. Marcus Pizzetti is the roving midfielder. He'll continue what has been a sparkling career here on Beaconville. We mentioned Douglas Silveira and Pedro da Silva. They will have the ball a lot this afternoon. They continue on the lineup: Ricky Bonilla, Fernando Martinez, Jason Diaz, Rolando Barbosa, another great playmaker, Clisma Mendez, Joshua King as a reserve who has really stepped it up when he's come in late in games as the Beacons are winning. Keep an eye on him if the Beacons get ahead in this one. Arlindo Gonçalves and Juan Nieto also contribute defensively and offensively. And then Giovanni Lima and Lanier Lima. They're not difficult to spot, the two tallest players on the Beacons roster. Calvin Smick, Lucas Silva, Marcelo Cunha, Jonathan Figueroa, Merv Mayatang make up the Beacons roster. Some of these players won't get in this afternoon, but a majority of them will, especially if UMass gets out in front early. So we're all set for some soccer as the Western Colonials will get set to take the opening tip. It is Rosales in net for UMass Boston. He is wearing red. Beacons moving left to right on your screen as the Beacons are in their textbook white and blue striped uniforms that make it a little difficult to see the numbers, but they're sharp nonetheless. Meanwhile, Western, as they get this game underway, wearing their navy blue kits this afternoon. Getting control of it on the far side is Phil DiAgostino, but he loses it out of bounds. They'll roll it out on the Beacons, and DiAgostino will toss this one in. The attack for Western will have to get off to a good start. Meanwhile, with control, Shane Bierfeld. Bierfeld tried to penetrate the box with that pass, but he was unsuccessful, and the Beacons get control moving forward. UMass Boston has been getting out to early leads and cruising as Da Silva sends this one towards the front of the net, but it just goes right out in front of Austin Tierney and out of bounds for a goal kick. As the Beacons' star attacker right there, that's the striker named Da Silva, as he has been spectacular all season long. Tierney has it teed up and ready to go from the left of his goal, the near side of the interior box. He gets this one off as it heads towards the midfield line. Header attempt by number 8, Vigan Pikaku, is unsuccessful. This one now coming back towards Western and up and into Beacon's defensive territory, but Cunha has control and will look to move forward. Marcella goes to the far side as in front of the Beacons bench they come, centering it up towards the attacking zone, and here come the Beacons. Great one-touch pass. Barbosa on the near side as he is an open man for Da Silva, who has control. Dropping it back outside of the box. Crossing pass is unsuccessful, intended for Barbosa, but Rolando will be able to keep this one in for the time being. Back towards the point as the Beacons have control. Gonçalves puts it towards Douglas Silveira, centering for Barbosa, centering pass, they score! UMass Boston takes the early 1-0 lead. Just like that, it's the opening tally. UMass leads, and right through the rain for a diving headfirst slide in front of his bench. And for UMass Boston, what an absolutely terrific start to this ballgame. So for Marcus Pizzetti, who scores the goal, the Beacons, with that one, get the early lead. Marcus on the season, just his second goal of the season. I mentioned him earlier as a player who was great as a two-way talent, both defensively and offensively, and you saw the latter there. So UMass Boston now with the early lead in Western in this type of weather where it's difficult to get footing, difficult to get offensive plays set, maybe in for a long afternoon. Barbosa chasing after that one, unable to get there as Brian gets to it. Lucas Saunders with the cross pass is intercepted. Moving forward for UMass Boston. Opportunity for the Beacons. Unfortunately, though, intercepted and cleared out of play by Ryan Hopley, the defenseman for Western. So the Beacons with the throw from the far side of the field get it in, and Momentarily looked like they were going to go for Pizzetti. Instead, it comes back towards the far side in front of the Western bench. Double teamed and losing control of the ball were the Beacons, and now moving forward comes Western the other way. 3-on-3, but Western unable to connect on that crossing pass. That one intended for Rodolfo Roca, and UMass Boston will take over. Earn will stretch it towards Cunha as he has control. Beacons defender will play it slowly as strategically the Beacons know that they have the speed advantage. A long lob pass like that one, stretching the defense, can usually work, but unfortunately unable to catch up to that one was Pedro da Silva. Tierney with the boot as he gets this one out of his own defensive territory, as it will be initially taken by the Beacons and then cleared out of bounds by the visiting Western Colonials. I mentioned the Colonials' inconsistencies. They haven't won back-to-back games all season long, and if the Beacons would continue that stretch, they would get their 9th victory of the season. Cunha with control. Fakes the pass in front. Now will just center it towards his defensive teammate. Beacons trying to play a little keep away. That was Paul Earn with it. 1-0 UMass Boston, first half of play, as the Beacons turn this one over in their own zone, but immediately taken from whence it came, and now Rolando Barbosa has control. He will delay and now try to take this one himself, dribbling towards the midfield line and dropping it back. UMass Boston with the 1-0 lead on a goal by Marcus Pizzetti. The assists on that Pizzetti goal from, who else? Douglas Silveira and Rolando Barbosa, two of the best playmakers on this team, and they continue that this afternoon as they get the early lead. Far side of the field, centering pass, a lobber, and that one was blocked and sent back from whence it came out of bounds. It will trickle over the track and attract a little water as the Beacons get control. Off of the throw-in, UMass Boston continues to dominate the time of possession, but this one a turnover sent back out of immediate danger zone for Western. Good defensive play by the Beacons to keep it in the attacking zone. That was Gonçalves. Beacons, however, unable to keep it in there for a prolonged period of time. Shane Pugliese with control momentarily. However, he turns it over as well. A lot of turnovers for Western here early. Something to keep an eye on because turnovers usually lead to fast breaks the other way, which with the Beacons attackers usually leads to goals and wins. Far side of the field, players jockeying for possession. This one will come out of bounds for a throw-in for the visitors from Western Connecticut. And as the two teams continue here in the first half of play, a reminder, this is the Beacons Broadcasting Network on Stretch Internet Portal. Check out all your Beacons broadcasts and webcasts right here on Stretch Internet Portal and, of course, on beaconsathletics.com. Also search Beacons Athletics on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, really any social media method you can think of. We've got it covered. The Beacons, meanwhile, will look to get this game covered as they lead 1-0. Barbosa on the near side centers it out in front. UMass Boston trying to pierce the box here, but unable to get to Da Silva as this one is taken by Tierney, and Austin will hang on. For Western Connecticut, a packed roster, a roster that is filled with natives of Connecticut, not too unusual. They do have one international talent. Well, a couple of international talents, though one player who is a hometown is actually international, as this one is easily taken by Rosales. That is Lennart van Kruis. He is a native of, and I apologize to his family if I screw this up, Nijmegen, Netherlands. And I'm sure I did. I have a very finite knowledge of Holland, as this one is in the Beacons' possession for a free kick after the foul on Western. Of course, Holland, one of the powerhouses in Europe when it comes to soccer, as they continued that dominance in the 2010 World Cup, going all the way to the championship game. Here is Cunha going far side. Beacons in this one, of course, have plenty of international talent. It is of Cape Verde as well as Spain, Venezuela, and Brazil. So certainly doing a good job recruiting is head coach Jake Beverlin, who in just his second season has the Beacons eyeing an LEC championship. Far side of the field for the visitors from Connecticut, as this one does go out of bounds. Good play by UMass Boston's defense. After this one, we mentioned what's coming up. Beacons will take on Salve Regina right here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. That one on Tuesday at 3 p.m. For Western Connecticut, they'll continue what is going to be a very long and very, very tough road trip to end this season. They play only one home game the rest of the year. That's on October 26th against Keene State, as the Owls will invade Western. However, the rest of their schedule, including this one, 6 road games before they get set for the LEC tournament the first week of November. UMass Boston with control, looking to move forward as they will look to make this road trip a nightmare for Western. Getting control now is Barbosa. What a right-to-left move, right in the middle, and this shot is high and wide from Barbosa as he was looking with eyes wide open to get this one into the corner of the net around Tierney, but unsuccessful as UMass Boston turns this one over. It's 1-0 with about 35 minutes to go. UMass has the early lead on a goal by Marcus Pizzetti, assist from Silveira, who was our player to watch before the game. How prophetic of us. And, of course, Barbosa, who just missed the net barely on that last scoring chance. A couple of weeks ago, the Beacons played a game against UMass Dartmouth in which they allowed 0 shots on goal for the first 40-45 minutes and ended up cruising to a 7-0 victory. So far, that tale has continued. Chapter 2 here against Western Connecticut. Granted, we are only about 10 minutes in, but Western has shown no ability to put any offense together. We'll see if Pugliese can do that as he centers this one up in front, intended for Pacucci. This opportunity is denied and cleared on a fine play out there by Reese, as the Beacons will eventually get control, try to keep it away, and turn it over. But there will be a penalty and a foul coming up on the visiting Colonials. So as Alfonso Rosales gets a drink in his net, he could probably go and pick daisies for a while as the Beacons continue to play very sound offensive soccer. Here is Gonsalves with control, looking to center it out in front, unable to keep it initially on his legs, but now getting control was Pizzetti. Tries to put it towards the corner for Barbosa. Rolando just tried to keep that one in bounds, and it was intercepted and taken out of immediate trouble by Saunders. Here's Gonsalves getting it from Cunha, and now back from whence it came to the Beacons defender, number 26, centering it to the far side of the field. UMass Boston with an opportunity to continue what has been a torrid pace. They started out slow, thanks in large part to a very tough non-conference schedule. A 2-1 loss against RPI, and that was, of course, in the Roger Williams Squad Locker Classic. And now here comes the Beacons with a tough shot on goal, but a good save by Tierney. So Austin Tierney had to be active on that one, keeping it out of his own net, as UMass Boston penetrated and had a golden chance for a second goal this afternoon. For the Beacons, I was mentioning the tough start. They went 1-3 to begin, including an 8-0 loss against a very good Tufts team. But since then, it's been all UMass all the time. They've only lost one game, and that was at Bridgewater State back on September 30th. So UMass Boston with control in their own zone, just trying to get something going, and then a little bit of a shove as cutting in a bit of a match there was Pachuku. Beacons seeing Western get control. They'll look to try to get something started. UMass Boston, it seems, with the way that they play defensively, the 3 defenders back at all times, just doing a tremendous job of preventing any sort of scoring chance. That one looked a lot better than it really was, off the side of the net on the strike. That shot coming from Shane Bierfeld, number 21. Shane, a freshman from Torrington, Connecticut, at 6'170". And the Beacons have control now, trying to do something here offensively. Gonsalves has it, sets it up for Barbosa. Barbosa spins around, has it on his right leg, and now we'll try to center that one up in front, but unable to get to that one where the Beacons, and then just sending it out of play on a good, smart effort by Slomski, because creeping down was UMass Boston. And really, when you have a clear lack of, I don't want to call lack of talent, inferior talent to the team you're playing, the best move is to at least play it safe, as that blast from just outside the box by Silveira is just wide. Good play by Tierney to keep it out of his net, but the Beacons will get an ensuing corner. And see, that's exactly what the Beacons want to do. Just get balls on net. Especially in a game like this where the weather is bad. You never know what can happen. A defender slips. The goalie falls down. Who knows? Right now, the Beacons hoping for a good pass from the corner. This one, lob center. Oh, and it's headed out of play on a good job by the Western defense. And then tumbling over and getting the call is one of Western's defenders there, although not agreeing with it was number 10, Marcus Pizzetti. Looked like a good play, as tumbling down was Pachuku, but he'll get the call as a goal kick will ensue. Actually, a free kick taken by the goalie, Tierney, from just outside of Western's box. This one sent towards midfield, kept and moved forward, except a good defensive play by the Beacons off of Pachuku's opportunity, and now Saunders will center this one towards the near side, but it comes out of bounds. Beacons get the throw. Gonsalves will find Barbosa, and Rolando will get things going. His attempted pass, centered it out in front for Da Silva, was unsuccessful, and now coming the other way is Western. Good aggressive play by Cunha to dislodge the player from the ball, and the Beacons are able to get it back to the defensive zone of Western. Long stretch pass, and that one got through the defense, but luckily Rosales was able to punch it out of his box, and now a centered out in front opportunity, but right there were the Beacons defenders. Rodolfo Roca was the lone Western player in the box on that one, and it comes out of bounds off UMass Boston. Saunders with the throw-in, as number 32, Lucas Saunders, will look for some help in the attacking zone. He'll just try to toss this one into the far side, intended out there for Brian, but it's headed out to Pachuku. Here he is coming through, one of the best players on this team, at least offensively, but it's intercepted by UMass Boston's Matthias Reese and gets it out. Paul Earn down there as well. Beacons getting control, and they will just slow this one up, perhaps try to get some lackadaisical play from the defense. Unfortunately for the Beacons, Western was game to deny the penetration there. It's 1-0 UMass Boston as we continue on here in the first half of play. Barbosa with control. He will look to go around Saunders' left to right move. He does, looking for the center, and he's shoved down in the box, and that's got to be a call, and it will. UMass Boston will maybe not get the call. Wow, they're going to say that it was a dive for Barbosa. I cannot believe that call. Looked pretty clear that Saunders grabbed his jersey and pushed him down, but the Beacons don't get the benefit of the doubt from the referees here at home, as this one is sent out of harm's way by Tierney. It was a bang-bang call, but when the attacker has the advantage, you'd think that they would side with the offense, but in the end, it really doesn't matter. Beacons have control. They're moving forward. Cunha gets the cross-field pass, and Marcelo will look for maybe Gonsalves. Instead, he'll just punch this one forward for Da Silva, sent back from whence it came, and now an opportunity if this one stays in bounds, and it will. Here they come the other way. Opportunity for Western. Running forward with it is Puglisi. Centers it, but really no one home. There's not enough speed, but a little help from the turf here at Beaconville, as that one is slowed down right on the lip of the box by the wet grass out there, as Saunders will get this one in. Cleared out of immediate harm's way, and then whiffing on that opportunity was Nick Ribeiro. Out of bounds for a Beacons throw. We are under 30 minutes here in the first half of play, as UMass Boston leads 1-0 on a goal by Marcus Pizzetti. It is a little different broadcasting indoors, while it is definitely preferred to being out there in the elements this afternoon. Not hearing the action, not getting a real ambiance of the players on the field, the crowd in the stands, and of course the coaches on the bench can deter really some of the emotion. But right now this is a huge game for the Beacons as Gonçalves has control, puts it back for Cunha. He'll slow things down. I mentioned the huge game for the Beacons, a 4-0 start in the Little East Conference with a finite amount of games left to go in conference after this as we look, and there's only 2 remaining in conference against RIC and Western Connecticut, of course, including this one, and then Keene State. A 4-0 start would all but guarantee a high spot in the conference standings. Right now, UMass Boston just out in front of Plymouth State at 2-0-1. However, Plymouth, in their non-conference schedule, was putrid, going just 1-5 out of the LEC for a 3-6-1 overall record. So the Beacons will have a tiebreaker advantage, barring a meteoric collapse here in the final few weeks. Rosales has control. I think he might defer to Cunha, and he will. Marcelo will go, and the Beacons will move forward. It goes UMass Boston, Plymouth State, Eastern Connecticut State, who UMass just came off a 1-goal victory over last week, Rhode Island College, UMass Dartmouth, Keene State College, Southern Maine, and then bringing up the rear, 0-3 Western Connecticut State, who right now is bringing up the rear of this one, 1-0 here in the first half of play. So Western has control. They'll move backwards just to try to set up some sort of strategic advantage. Saunders, however, sees his centering pass intercepted or at least denied by the Beacons, and now it will be Amon DRC centering this one back towards number 13, Ryan Hopley. Here comes Western. Opportunity as the good give-and-go opportunity intended for Pachuku was unsuccessful, and the Beacons intercept and move forward. Trying to stretch this one for De Silva, but unsuccessful in doing so was Pizzetti, and it will come out of bounds as the Beacons will turn it over. Saunders with the throw-in from the near side. Number 15, DRC with control, finds Pachuku, and then with the forearm shiver to the throw to Barbosa after that pass as the Beacons intercept and move forward. Looking to center for De Silva. He's got great speed. Right leg strike, and this one might have been partially deflected. It had to be as this one goes wide and out of play. So for UMass Boston, they'll get a corner ensuing off of that fine defensive play by the visitors. Here is the opportunity for the Beacons, centered out in front. Header opportunity comes all the way through. Did that one ever hit anybody, or did it just go right through with seeing eyes? It looks like it did hit a Beacon, or it didn't hit anybody, as this one will be a goal kick. So here is Austin Tierney with an opportunity, the fabulous netminder for the visiting Western Colonials. Wearing gold today for his visiting team as this one centered towards midfield. Beacons unable to get control initially, but sent back from whence it came as De Silva chases after it. He got held, and no call. And you see him turn around, not arguing with the ref, but pleading with the ref for a call there. That's twice now. The Beacons probably should have gotten a call and didn't. And now centered out in front for Barbosa. What a move. He's tripped up by the goalie. Austin Tierney came out of his box and came up big with that play, getting the ball from Barbosa, who had a 1-on-0 opportunity if he was able to penetrate that defense. Here is Gonçalves looking for Barbosa. Centers it, but just out in front of the Beacons' striker as this one will come back towards midfield. Opportunity to take it now for Sartori. Sartori finds Saunders as he, with the big long stride, streaks forward. Gets it, at least intended to get it to number 32, Shane Pugliese, but tumbling down like a tree in the forest was number 33 in blue. And the Beacons get control. Here's Gonçalves centering it for Pizzetti. Beacons, so far, as Cunha takes control, dominating the course of play. Not only shots on goal, but also time of possession as they move forward. Here's De Silva. UMass Boston's best goal scorer tries to act playmaker here, centering it out in front unsuccessfully, and now out of bounds for a Beacons throw. This is the Beacons Broadcasting Network production on Stretch Internet Portal. I am John Skudras. A gloomy Saturday afternoon Beacons, however, will try to make it a bright one for the hometown faithful, as this one was a wide-open opportunity sent wide of the net, and the Beacons can't believe they missed an opportunity there. Still in the first half of play, UMass Boston leading, just about 20 minutes remaining here in the first of two halves. Tierney with control on the goal kick. Haven't seen a lot of substitutions so far. Western will get one in here. Actually, it looks like a couple new faces will enter for the Western Connecticut State Colonials. Or at least momentarily, as coming on in was D'Arcy, then exiting as well. If you're just joining us, it's 1-0 Beacons here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. UMass in white with blue stripes moving left to right. The visiting Western Connecticut State Colonials, who just got control moving forward with Pachuku, are in navy blue, moving right to left, but a good defensive play by the Beacons to intercept that one, and here they come the other way. Rolando Barbosa is on the near side. If that's Pedro da Silva, who's injured there towards the far side of the circle, that is big news. Not sure if it's just an equipment malfunction. Looks like that's what it was. His spike may have come off at the heel after he collided with one of the defenders for Western. Looks like there's no rest for the weary for the Beacons attacker, number 12, as Pedro's up and ready. Rosales gets control as he, once again, really, this has been a trend over the last 2 weeks, has really got an opportunity to rest in his own net. He doesn't have to do a whole lot here. Now we'll see if that trend changes. This centering opportunity, good athletic play to keep that one out of the box, as that was Earn out there getting control. And now the Beacons will turn it over once again. Sloppy play in their own zone. Eventually coming over will be Earn to get control. Paul will slow things down. Beacons have had their starters out there for the entirety of this game for the most part. You see a couple of players trying to keep loose out there on the far side for both teams. And now tripped as this one comes out of bounds, and they will say the Beacons will keep possession. After this one, the Beacons will move forward with their season. Another home game on Tuesday against Salve Regina. Of course, down in Western Connecticut State, the women's soccer team taking on the Colonials, as Cunha will have to jockey for possession, clearly gets shoved down, and you can't not call that one, as that would have resulted in an immediate offensive opportunity for Shane Pugliese. However, that was clearly a shove from behind, and they're going to give possession to Western. So the refs really giving the Beacons no favors here in the first half, and they still lead 1-0, as getting control is Sartori for the free kick. Iceland with an opportunity. He will, with the right leg, tee this one up. Centered into the box. Header opportunity, save Rosales. He had to get down and dig that one out of the turf. And the Beacons see their first opportunity come against them, as Western, off the free kick, gets a golden chance. Sartori trying to center this one to the far side. Here is D'Arcy, but they're going to call a offsides on the visitors. Beacons get control. Here is Barbosa for Gonçalves. Arlindo looking for help on the far side of the field. Stretches it towards Pizzetti. This one centered all the way. A long stretch pass, clearly offsides, and not even my own biases can refrain from calling that one out. UMass Boston, just like Western moments ago, getting called for offsides. And now we have an equipment malfunction, the necessary tying of the shoe towards the right side of the circle. And now here's Saunders with control. Jalen with it as he will center this one towards the far side. Beacons quickly intercept that one. And for UMass Boston, that's Luis Matos. It's been really all game long just a good job, really all season since their slow start, a good job of preventing offensive opportunities. And if they do allow offensive opportunities, one shot and then that's it. Clear it. Don't allow that second chance on the rebound. That's how you end up giving up goals and losing games, as they saw in that 8-0 loss to Tufts earlier this year. Gonçalves to Earn on the far side of the field. This one's sent far and wide. This will be offsides if the Beacons are able to get there. They won't, as Tierney will get control, and the visitors will have an ensuing kick. So Austin Tierney boots this one into the far side. Beacons with the head, keeping this one out of harm's way. Pachuku with a nice spin move off of the header and unable to get this one to any friendly faces as the Beacons get control. Pizzetti looking for help. Here they come. You know, for UMass Boston and Western, a storied rivalry, one that's been going on for a while, but Western has not beaten the Beacons in quite some time. The last 3 times they played, they've been victimized by UMass Boston here in Beaconville. That one was on sides, but UMass Boston unable to catch up to it. Good play by the visiting netminder Austin Tierney to keep this one out of the box and send it out of bounds. Gonsalves will have an opportunity on the throw. Substitution for UMass Boston. Exiting the playing field, at least for a moment, will be Pedro da Silva. The Beacons' leading goal scorer with 11 this season. He'll get a chance to rest up here in the latter portions of the second half. UMass Boston turns it over off the throw-in. Moving forward momentarily was Bierfeld. He'll defer to help, and then, with the wet grass, we saw a nasty collision right towards midfield, and both players remain down. Hopefully for both teams, no severe trauma out of this one. May have had a bit of a low blow there off the slide. It looked like somebody is not feeling good for both teams, as it was number 8, Pachuku, who slipped and went right in to Douglas Silveira. Referees discussing things here. We'll see what comes out of this. Any further discipline, doesn't look like it. And now they do. There it is. They give him the yellow card. So that's something that's a little confusing when earlier in the game they're allowing Western to basically throw the Beacons down on the ground in their defending box and then give a yellow card for what looked more or less like an accident, with the grass contributing largely. Beacons will take it, though. One more of those, and they'll have an extra advantage. No advantage here as this one's sent back out of play. UMass Boston leading this one 1-0 here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. I'm John Skudris from high atop Beaconville. Getting control and moving forward are the Beacons. Getting shoved from behind and losing control was Pizzetti, and now here they come, centered to the near side. That one might have been intended for the empty bleachers, as it does come through and out of bounds. Throw in for Gonsalves. UMass Boston finding Barbosa. Barbosa, give and go. Here is an opportunity for Silveira, but Douglas turns it over, looking to penetrate and perhaps find Texera. Elton's the one who came in for Da Silva. He's the team's second leading goal scorer. Austin Tierney with the free kick. Number 0 for the visiting Colonials. Beacons hoping to allow that goose egg in net today, as it's 1-0 UMass Boston. Another player goes down. That was big number 18, Sergio Mandujano, as this one comes out of bounds in front of Saunders and Barbosa. Right into the near side in front of the track. Throw in for Saunders, taken here by Pachuku, and now he'll center this one to the far side. Paul Earn chasing after it, and Paulie will get there and keep it away from the attack of number 7, Phil DiAgostino. Out of bounds it comes off of UMass Boston. Throw in for Western as we trickle down to the final 15 here in the first half of play, and the physical nature of this game continues, whether accidental or intentional. This will lead to a throw-in for the visitors. And for the Beacons, although they may give them, they're going to give them a free kick here right in front of the out-of-bounds line there. Beacons will try to set up a two-man wall in front of the free kick, but this is a golden opportunity for the men in blue. Colonial centering pass, opportunity in front for a header, and this one trickles through. Rosales has to come out and protect his net, getting that one and keeping it out of harm's way, and the Beacons will move forward as Rosales will chuck it towards his own bench. So UMass Boston leading 1-0, seeing a couple of chances come the other way now here in the second half of this first half. But now here's Cunha with the ball as he will Center it for Earn to the far side. Beacons looking to get control. Barbosa falls down and then falls on the ball, and they'll blow the whistle. As the Beacons and the Colonials both having trouble with this weather, and now here come the Beacons. Matos with a nice strike, but this one is wide, as UMass is unable to get an offensive scoring chance there. Beacons playing here in a very, very tough atmosphere, as the weather and the degradation of the turf is certainly going to lead to what should be a difficult second half offensively for both teams. They'll call a foul on the Beacons, which will lead to a free opportunity for Sartori and the visiting Colonials. Sartori will defer back to one of his defensive teammates, and now resetting and re-gunning will be the Colonials. Here's Saunders off of the free kick as Lucas will center this one. Good header by Earn, keeping it out of harm's way. Opportunity for Pakuchu. Here is Vigan as he will lose this one out of bounds and out of play. Beacons will get it a throw-in. Keep an eye up for the halftime show coming up in just a few minutes' time. We'll take a look back at the first half statistics of this one, as well as another look around Beaconville. Perhaps take a look at how the women's team's doing from Western Connecticut State this afternoon. UMass Boston and Western in a one-goal game. Here come the Beacons. Centered up in front, but unable to connect there was UMass Boston. Matos in on the action, trying to get control. Far side of the field, centering pass deflected out of bounds, and the Beacons will get the throw in just a few moments. Here is UMass trying to get something going offensively. They started out strong with the early goal. Here's an opportunity for a second, but Barbosa's strike from outside the box trickles just wide across the lip of the net, and the Beacons will see a goal kick for Tierney. Austin getting set. It's 1-0. UMass Boston leading. For the Beacons this afternoon, it was Marcus Pizzetti with the goal. Assist from Silveira and Barbosa. UMass midfielder Arlindo Gonçalves doing a fantastic job there, keeping that one away from the attack of Western with a little slide pass to get that one out of harm's way. Beacons don't have control, though, as keeping it right now is Sartori. Aislinn finds his teammate. That's Bierfeld. Shane is unable to keep it on his legs, as intercepting it and moving forward is Rolando Barbosa. Beacons do not have numbers. It's about 3-on-5 right now, but with Rolando's skills, that's never a too daunting of a task, but a fine defensive play for Western to keep it away and clear it out of play for a throw-in. And now referees doing some due diligence here after the whistle, as UMass Boston will likely get the throw-in after we reconvene. There is a player down on the far side of the field, and the trainers come out. So for Western, a player down on the far side. It's difficult to see as he's laying on his back what the number is. We'll certainly relay that information once he does identify himself. Didn't get an opportunity to really see what happened. Obviously, with the weather what it is and the field what it's become, it's likely that there was some sort of a slip or somebody stepped on someone. It looks like a back injury, though, so a slip seems likely. Perhaps just fell on his tailbone the wrong way. We'll find out in a few moments' time as Paul Earn checked on him. It's perhaps Isaias Montalvo. And we were incorrect. It looks like it's Shane Pugliese, as that would make sense, a player who's been in the offensive zone for much of this half. And Shane with a lot of help coming off the field. couple of coaches and trainers really, really helping him get off the field as he is walking very gingerly between their arms. Obviously, we wish Shane the best this afternoon and beyond, as the midfielder for this visiting team, Shane Pugliese, a freshman from Plainville, Connecticut, Plainville High, will exit this one. So after the injury timeout, it'll have to be a substitution coming in for the visitors. The Beacons, meanwhile, will still have a throw-in on the attacking side of the field, the far side of the field, as the Beacons are right in front of the visiting bench. Here comes the substitution for Western, as coming on in is going to be number 2, John Thomas Caprino. Here's Gonsalves off the throw-in after it came all the way back from whence it came to the Beacons side of the field. Gonsalves from Cunha. Cunha now gets control, and Cunha will try to center this one up for the Beacons attack, but unable to. It comes out of bounds. Gonsalves centering on the throw-in for Barbosa. Rolando with great speed, unable to penetrate the D there, but the solid deflection comes for a great pass between the outstretched legs of the Western defenders by Gonsalves, but unable to get Barbosa on that one. Saunders keeps it in momentarily. Good defensive play for UMass Boston to at least force a contested throw. Saunders' throw was terrible. This one goes right to Barbosa and headed towards the Beacons attack. That one is Matos in there for Da Silva. Barbosa looking for that pass, intercepted by Bierfeld, and now we have another collision on the... Man, with this weather and with the field the way it is, that's going to happen all afternoon long, as that was Matos colliding there with Bierfeld, and both players are okay, thankfully, after we saw moments ago Pugliese leave with a back injury. Beacons huddling around this free kick as they will get a golden opportunity to score the second goal of this one. We're under 10 minutes here in the first half of play. UMass looking for more opportunity for Pizzetti. His shot, though, came right in on Tierney, and Austin had no trouble with that one. Knocks it down, then cleans it up, and has an opportunity to clear the zone. So here's Tierney's boot. Good job to push it forward there by Sartori. Unfortunately, though, another collision as Cunha laid the whooping on one of the attackers for the visitors from Western. And UMass Boston will see Western get an advantage here. We'll see if any further disciplinary action will come, and it might. No, it doesn't look like it will. Looks like UMass will just get away with the free kick. And it looks like Sartori will be the man to take it. Aislinn Sartori standing there with Ryan Hopley. One of those two will take this one after Western sets up. Rosales in his net. Here is the fake kick. Opportunity for Sartori, and that one came right to the Beacons netminder, Rosales. And like a punt returner making a fair catch, he takes care of that one. It is a lot of action going on the visitors' sideline for the Beacons from Western Connecticut State. They were up 2-1, the Beacons were, with less than 6 to play in the first half. Now it's 2-2 with 2 to play in that first half from Western Connecticut State. Of course, thanks to Dave Wahlberg, Brian Fiella doing a good job keeping me updated on that one. Meanwhile, the Beacons looking to continue what has been a back-and-forth affair, topsy-turvy here in the first half. UMass Boston leading in shots. However, a couple of golden scoring chances for Western have gone for naught. Beacons allowing a few more scoring chances in the first half than they probably would have liked, especially considering the fact they're number 1 in the LEC coming into this game against the last-place team in the LEC entering Saturday's action. So the Beacons trying to move forward. That's going to be whistled for a foul. Pretty clear, but then good sportsmanship by John Thomas Caprino to help up the Beacon who tumbled down. Although the Beacons didn't make much of that advantage, as this one will come towards Tierney on the pass that went errant. Referees in gold Austin Tierney in gold as he will find Saunders, who will boot this one forward. Cunha and Gonçalves there. It's Arlindo who keeps it out of harm's way, and now Barbosa. Rolando playing the entirety of this first half. Keep an eye on when players like Edmilson Barros and the rest of the Beacons bench do come in. They are very talented off the bench as the stretch pass for Earn is successful from his D-mate Cunha, as Earn will try to center this one out in front of the visiting bench, but it's intercepted by Western and out of bounds for an ensuing throw-in. Right over there is Phil DiAgostino. He will defer back to one of his defensive partners as this one will result in the throw. Fake to the front, fake to the back, and now back towards the front they go as they pass right in front of the Beacons bench. Taken there by Caprino, but he lost it immediately. John Thomas came in for Pugliese. Shane went down moments ago with a lower body injury, and now an opportunity for Silveira. He'll stretch this one for Gonçalves. Arlindo had a little trouble with it initially, but is able to recover, and then a good slide tackle play made there by Bierfeld. He has been active this afternoon, keeping it away from Arlindo Gonçalves. So here's Earn on the far side of the field. Paul centers it towards the Beacons' attacking zone, but it's intercepted, and John Thomas Caprino is there. He motors forward, and after getting almost tripped up on a fine slide tackle, it does come out of bounds off the Beacons, resulting in a Western throw. For Western Connecticut, I mentioned in the pregame, as getting control here is Zach Slomski. Slomski looking for Saunders, and he gets him. Lucas with control. I mentioned in the pregame that their inconsistencies have plagued them. Caprino centers it. Opportunity now with the right leg for Andre Paparo, but that one wide of the net. And it's continuing this afternoon. Western Connecticut, while they've had their moments this season, some impressive victories, 6-2 over Yeshiva, 4-1 over Mount St. Vincent, both those matches at home, they have been absolutely incapable of getting back-to-back victories. Every single time they win a game, they lose, except for the once when they beat St. Vincent 4-1 and tied Springfield 1-1. Here's Cunha as the Beacons look to get something going. The final 5 minutes of this first frame from Beaconville. Opportunity for Douglas Silveira. Kept an eye on him pregame. The senior midfielder has been so spectacular over the course of his career, getting the throw in from Gonçalves, that really, it's going to be tough to watch him go. You hope that they can continue this torrid pace so he can get perhaps an LEC championship before he does leave Beaconville. That one's out of bounds on Western. Paul Earn gets control off the throw. Earn will defer to Cunha, and Marcelo will have control. Beacons letting the clock tick down here. They know that in all likelihood they'll go into the locker rooms with a lead. And with the way they've played in the second half over the last few weeks, you couldn't ask for more. Gonçalves from the near side in front of the umbrellas of the spectators and the faithful who made their way out through the torrential rain. A long stretch pass opportunity, and then Austin Tierney almost got his head taken off by the whirlwind kick as he does a good job braving the right leg of Marcus Pizzetti, who already has a goal. Now here's Silveira. Silveira deferring to Matos. In the box, Beacons with a golden opportunity before the half. Matos centers it back towards Cunha and now gets it back, looking perhaps for help. He has Pizzetti, but Marcus is in no position to take that pass. Silveira with the left leg. Lob shot over and out of play as Tierney will get the kick. I tell you, Beacons putting together some solid play here in the first half as they continue to get scoring chances. Not very many shots on goal, unfortunately, but those will come. And now here's Austin Tierney. Clearing this one out of harm's way towards midfield. We'll get a whistle, and that one will defer to the visitors. So we've got a tight one here. It's 1-0 UMass Boston. We've got a tight one from Western Connecticut State, where the women's team is in a 2-2 tie late in the first half. Here is Cunha, and Marcelo will have an opportunity to slow things down. Final 2 minutes of play here in the first half. UMass Boston looking to get another victory, their 9th on the season, the 8th in their last 9. And they could do that with a win today. Rosales clears it out of his own defensive zone opportunity for the Beacons. Here they come. Matos finds Barbosa. Rolando, before the end of the first half, will try to center it out in front. Beacons with an opportunity, and he can moonwalk that one in, and he can't. They call offsides. A late offsides call, and Beacons can't believe it. The duo of the Beacons are arguing with the side judge here, and the referee has to clear them out. That is Silveira and Pizzetti, two of the veteran leaders on this team, and they cannot believe that call, and frankly, I can't either. It looked like it was right on the line where the ball was, and the Beacons don't catch a break. Just a shame. It will remain 1-0 and likely remain 1-0 at the half after that one. So UMass Boston, what would have been the dagger in the proverbial hearts of these visiting Western Connecticut Colonials, instead, they might get saved for just a few more moments. UMass Boston tries to keep this one out after the momentum shifts right there. Here is Pizzetti. Marcus with a good job going right through the legs of the defender, and then he gets flown into the air. Not sure if he slipped or if it had something to do with Caprino, but in the end, the Beacons will move forward. Tierney, however, comes out to get it off of the leg of Matos. And as we trickle down here in the final minute of play, UMass Boston will head into the locker room with a 1-0 advantage. So as we are down to the final 10, the Beacons will see what they can do as we move into the second half of play, as the two teams will head to their respective sidelines. The Beacons lead 1-0 after one half of play, but it could have been a lot worse for Western, as we saw late in that first half. For UMass Boston, the goal on this one was contributed by who else? The fabulous midfielder Marcus Pizzetti, his second of the season. Go along with 1 assist. He's now got 5 points, but he is a contributor on both sides. Assists from Barbosa and the aforementioned Silveira, as the Beacons will go ahead 1-0 moving forward. So the Beacons, 1-0 lead after one half of play. We will get a look at what's going on as the Beacons will look ahead towards the next matchup after this one, as we look forward to Tuesday's matchup against Salve Regina. Right here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. Coverage begins a few minutes before 3 p.m. Tune in on Stretch Internet Portal. You don't want to miss it. One of the hottest teams in the LEC, UMass Boston, getting set to take on a game opponent in Salve Regina. After that one, they get set to head on onto the road for matchups against Keene State and Worcester State College. So that will do it for the halftime show here. We will head to half. The Beacons leading 1-0. When we come back in a few minutes, we'll get a look back at the first half, perhaps a look at how the women are doing in their matchup against Western Connecticut from Connecticut, and of course, all the action in the second half of play. I'm John Skudris. This is the Beacons Broadcasting Network. Hello and welcome back here into the broadcast booth, high atop Beaconville on the campus of UMass Boston. I am John Scudris as the Beacons getting set to defend what is a 1-0 lead heading into the final 45 minutes against Western Connecticut State University. Meanwhile, down south at Western Connecticut State, the women's soccer team is in a bit of a grudge match here. A knockdown, drag-out affair, 3-2. The women are trailing right now at Western Connecticut State University. So for the women's team trailing by a goal, the men's team leading by a goal as they will look to continue what has been a strong first half. The goal was scored by Marcus Pizzetti in that first half of play, and the Beacons will get control to begin the second half of play. Opening tip here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. I am John Scudris, and we are set for some soccer. Paul Aaron has control as he will look to move this one forward. There is Reese. Reese back to Aaron, and the Beacons will play keep away as Cunha on the far side will get it between his Volt-colored cleats to the near side, back from whence it came to Paul Aaron. Ball with control, back to Reese as they go around the horn again, and the Beacons just looking for an open passing lane to move forward where their strikers and midfielders await, and now it's intercepted, and an opportunity coming the other way. Rosales has to get out of the net. He trips up the attacker, and the Beacons with a sloppy play, lackadaisical and unaggressive, and it ends up leading to a potential scoring chance for the visiting Connecticut Colonials. And that one came off the opportunity from Sartori as he penetrated very, very deep into the Beacon zone and will result in a opportunity. So Rosales is leaving the field. That is unbelievable. The Beacons netminder has been given the heave-ho by the referees. Rosales tossed from the game. The Beacons can't believe, well, there's not really a whole lot of arguing from them. I'm kind of shocked at that reality as Rosales heads to the bench. UMass Boston just saw their best defensive player get thrown from the game for what looked to me to be a pretty good play by him. Sartori got by the defender, and Rosales had to come out to protect it. And now he is on the bench, and we are awaiting this game's resumption. So UMass Boston seeing the tides turn a bit here. Rosales came off, and UMass Boston is going to have their hands full the rest of the way. So with Rosales done, getting set to come on in for the Beacons is likely going to be Steve Sosa, and I'm correct in that assumption. And that's a big drop-off. Now, it's not to say Steve is any slouch, but he hasn't played a whole lot. Started just 2 games, played in just 3. This will be his 4th. 2.00 goals against average and a save percentage of .600 compared to a 1.02 goals against average and a .727 save percentage for the departed Rosales. So a big break for Western. Here they come. Opportunity now, centering on the corner. This one is sent up and over on the pass attempt. Almost a goal off the crossbar as Sosa had to elevate towards the sky to make the save there. Not sure if he did get a hand on that one. But the Beacons all of a sudden in dire straits. We'll got a corner kick coming up as this one coming from the near side. This one sent towards the net. Header opportunity, and this one just got a little too far underneath as this one will result in a Sosa goal kick. So what a tumultuous beginning to the second half for the Beacons. A red card for the netminder Rosales, who came out to protect the ball from entering the box, dove towards the legs of the visiting attacker. That was Sartori, and instead of a good play, the referees consider it a flagrant play and a toss for the Beacons netminder. So UMass Boston now is going to have their work cut out for them. They've only got a 1-0 lead, and now they have to play a man down. So UMass Boston looking to cling to this lead. The opportunity is sent back out of bounds to the near side. Beacons moving right to left here in the second half, and the throw in here from Mateus Reese is taken by Paul Earn. Earn looking to find some help, centers it towards the circle, gets it back from whence it came, and now will look for some assistance in the form of his netminder, Steve Sosa. Cunha on the far side gets it from number 1, Sosa in red. Beacons moving right to left with control. This has been a game that they have really dominated, although now with the fact that they're going to be a man down, good luck. 1-0 Beacons on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. Here's Cunha playing keep away. Back to Earn. This has been the story of the second half. Earn and Cunha playing catch with one another as they try to stretch this one off the foot of Earn, but unsuccessful. And now it'll come into the corner where the netminder, Tierney, will come all the way out to retrieve it. Austin will get control. So UMass Boston leading 1-0. Pedro de Carvalho in on that one. Unfortunately for him, though, it does trickle behind him. Beacon's able to keep it out of harm's way, getting control now towards midfield is UMass Boston. They're down a man, so they'll just do their best to try to keep this opportunity away from the visitors. Carvalho to the far side for Cunha. UMass Boston, in this game, dominated the play in the first half. Almost had their second goal of the first half late in that frame. They called an offsides on a play that the Beacons ended up scoring on, as Pedro de Carvalho's there, and now a whistle. Far side of the field for the Beacons. Here they come moving forward. Centering pass opportunity, but just out in front of the attacker for UMass Boston. Unable to get there as Austin Tierney will get control. Almost throws it right into the heels of his defender. Instead, it comes to the near side for Saunders. He'll center this one, and it's deflected off the right leg of number 4, Andre Jimenez Frank, and now sent back towards the net by Sergio Mandujano. Beacons down a man, and now we're seeing the reasons for their struggles. Just one man on the far side for most of this game. That's going to be De Silva. But instead, the Beacons will get a throw here. Cunha will lose control of that clearing attempt. It didn't get much on it, and now here comes the Colonials the other way, as Western can't really get a whole lot going on this possession. Saunders takes it off the face and then will divert to the Beacons for a free kick. 2-on-4 now with a man down. Good luck getting any offense for UMass Boston. They've got to do everything they can to prevent odd man rushes the other way. That's what they've got to focus on as De Carvalho gets control. Pedro centers it up towards the Beacons' opposing net, but unable to get control originally was De Silva. He does now regain it and sends it back from whence it came. You're going to see a lot of this here in the second half. Milking the clock. Still, though, with about 40 minutes remaining. Good luck with that. UMass Boston needs to start putting the ball on the other side of the field if they're going to keep this lead. It's 1-0. Early in the second half of play, the Beacons are now down a man, and that man is perhaps the most critical one. Their netminder, Alfonso Rosales. Steve Sosa's come in for him, but the Beacons had to sacrifice a position player, and that's why you're seeing a much slower pace and less deliberate for UMass Boston, as this one is Pizzetti. Nice move to center this one up in front, looking for De Silva, but nothing there, and UMass Boston again turns it over. Good recovery to kick that one away, as originally having it was Sartori, but now it's Pizzetti and Silveira. That was Douglas Silveira losing control out of bounds. He'll get control and look for De Silva as Pedro had it for a moment, now regains it towards the near side sideline, gets it back to Douglas Silveira. Silveira left to right move, now has to send it back towards Pedro de Carvalho. Here is Matos finding Silveira. And De Silva loses control, but able to regain it. Beacon's doing a good job now keeping possession of the ball. Knowing up 1-0, you've got to avoid prolonged periods on defense. Conn sends it forward. It gets by the defender, and the Beacons have a chance. From the far side, looking to center, and unable to get it to De Silva. And then the second chance did get to De Silva. Might have come off the netminder Tierney, but it looked like De Silva got hit in the face with the ball and was unable to direct it towards the net. Now coming forward is the big defender. That's going to be number 18, Sergio Mandajuno, but he loses this one on the stretch pass out in front. It comes out of bounds for a throw. If UMass Boston continues to play defensively like this to try to keep away, we'll see how it works out. It doesn't typically work out for the team that does it, but they do have a lot of talent on defense. They also have a backup netminder in Steve Sosa that they have a lot of confidence in. They also have confidence in this young man, Pedro de Carvalho, as he centers that one to the far side for Conn. Beacons on the far end of the field. Apologize for calling Pedro de Carvalho Paul Earn earlier on in this half. The numbers from up here, I mean, I have 20/20 vision, I could have 30/20 vision, I could have 120/20 vision, and I may still have trouble with it. We do our best, though, here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network, and we know the Beacons men's soccer team's going to do their best as well. They continue what has been a fantastic season this afternoon and continuing what has been a strong game despite being shorthanded on that event as they get the ball into the far side of the field. Beacons on the corner kick coming up as they will leave 3 men back. Colonials have 1. Warriors of Eastern Connecticut State. The Colonials of Western. As this one's sent forward towards the net. Header chance, but this one is sent wide. Looked like De Silva got his noggin on it, but no accuracy on that one, and the Beacons will actually get another corner. They'll say it was touched by a visiting player, so that'll help out UMass Boston. Steve Sosa on the far end. Austin Tierney in his net in front of this corner. He'll look to keep his team in it, as the Colonials got a real break earlier on this half. Beacons getting a red card for Rosales, their goalie. Here's the corner, centered in front, and this one denied on a good play made there out by number 3, Zachary Slomski. The defender and the fullback does a good job there, gets it out of harm's way and sent back from whence it came to the Beacons side of the field. UMass Boston gets it into attacking territory momentarily, but a good job by Jimenez Frank to keep it out of the box and send it back towards midfield. Beacons able to get it there and move forward. Opportunity coming now for the midfielder. That is Silveira, but he tries to center this one for De Silva. Couldn't get it there. Now Pizzetti will go to the far side of the field. Beacons with numbers now here as this one is centered into the box for De Silva, but denied on a good defensive play out there on that one by Slomski. A lot of action in both the first and second half. We've seen some discipline. The Beacons getting a red card. The Colonials got a yellow card early in the first half, but since then they've been relatively clean. This is a stretch pass Sosa will have to come out for, as bearing down on that one was Phil D'Agostino. Beacons, though, get control, and it'll be a chance for Sosa to move it to Conn. With the Beacons down a man, you're not going to see the netminder Sosa attempt to do too many long punts with the ball, if you will, as that's a golden opportunity for the Colonials to set up a rush the other way like this. D'Agostino with it, tries to center it, fine defensive play by the Beacons to keep it out of harm's way, as that pass was centered for Caprino on the far side, as this one will eventually come out of bounds. Beacons getting the throw in for the Colonials, getting control now and centering it far into the far end of the field. It's Jimenez Frank, but a good fair catch and then cover by Steve Sosa, as he will look to go right back to either Conn or De Carvalho, and he does go to Pedro. De Carvalho's out there along with the aforementioned Conn. Joshua King also on the field for the Beacons, as this one centered and sent straight down the field towards the far side corner. It was De Silva who was there, and Pedro wanted a call. He won't get it, but it did go out of bounds off of the visiting Colonials. That'll result in an ensuing corner kick. Far side of the field, the corner will ensue. The Beacons looking for what would be an absolutely astronomical second goal. If UMass Boston is able to get that one, down a man. Could you only imagine? Here's the center in on the corner. Far side. De Carvalho couldn't get his noggin on it. And it comes out as D'Agostino will help this one go out of bounds. And eventually it'll be a corner or a throw-in now for the Beacons, and that is tossed in here to Kang. Joshua Kang looking for help on the center, but it's intercepted on a good sliding play and sent back towards midfield. Beacons losing control out of bounds. That is off the visiting Colonials. Beacons keep control. Trickling through the second half of play. We are about 15 minutes into the second half. Beacons still clinging to a 1-0 lead. That goal came way back in the first half. Early in that first half, Marcus Pizzetti scoring it from Silveira and Barbosa, as a good sliding play by the Beacons gets this one out of bounds for a throw-in. Since then, the Beacons almost scored a goal. Late in the first half, it was waved off due to an offsides call. And then early in the second half here, the netminder Rosales thrown out of the game with a red card. Beacons got Sosa in net, the backup, but they do lose a position player and are going to play a man down for the rest of this one. So far, though, they haven't really shown it. They've kept possession on the other side of the field and will look to do it again. Gonçalves finds some help, and here they come. So the Beacons, with much fewer offensive players compared to the defense of the visiting Colonials here, will have an opportunity with the right leg centering cross, and this one just wide of the net. A golden opportunity for UMass Boston as they look to take that critical 2-0 lead. It looks like this one went out of bounds on the sideline, not the baseline, so that'll be a throw-in from a very tough spot for the Colonials. This one comes up towards the near side bleachers, intercepted by the Beacons momentarily, but Pizzetti unable to get control, and it comes towards Joshua Kang. Centering opportunity, unsuccessful, cleared out of the zone. Cunha tries to keep it out of his own zone, but he can't. Moving forward now with it, are the Colonials, but a good play made by De Carvalho, and tumbling down like a tree in the forest was D'Agostino. Or rather, Caprino, excuse me. As a lot of Italians on this Colonials team. Certainly some Italian flair look to come through here in the second half of play. Beacons lose control as this one is going to come out of bounds. We'll see if that's a corner, and it will instead be a throw, it looks like. Yep, so a throw-in coming up for the visiting Colonials from a tough spot. With control of it here is Sartori. He'll look to flash some of that strength in those arms. Flings this one towards the net, headed towards the far side. Steve Sosa's the first one there, then gets, might have been a little bit acting there from Steve. Tries to draw the whistle, but will not, and the Beacons will get the opportunity to move forward. De Carvalho's all alone, Pedro with it. He will move forward on this one as he hits Reese. Kang to the far side. Beacons just trying to keep the clock moving, get it out of their own territory. Stretch pass for De Silva's unsuccessful. Not surprising. He's surrounded by 4 Colonials. And Cunha will let this one go for Sosa, who will just hammer this one towards the booth over there, the press box, if you will, as it comes towards the Beacons bench, getting control of it and now centering it for a pass on the stretch to De Silva, but unsuccessful and eventually out of bounds, which will result in a Beacons throw. Less than 30 to go here in the first of what will be a very, very tough homestand. The Beacons taking on Salve Regina on Tuesday, right here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. If the Beacons win today as a collision towards midfield, they will give advantage to the Colonials. If the Beacons do win in a game here where they're up by 1 and a man down, it has to really speak a lot to the confidence and the talent on this team. I mean, you're a man down. Granted, you're playing the team that's the worst record in your conference, but it would be one thing if they were up 3 goals when they went a man down. Clinging to this 1-goal lead, one mistake can be catastrophic. This one sent towards the net. Opportunity off the boot there from number 18, Mandujano. Instead, it's going to be taken by Pedro de Carvalho. Fakes the clearing attempt and then will take it. De Silva saw that one sail up and over his head, and then it's sent back from whence it came by the Colonials. De Silva able to get that one, as overrunning that one was Caprino. Here come the Beacons. It's Pedro De Silva with control. He is all alone as he will eventually defer and then chase after the give-and-go pass. It's centered, and then he gets crushed. Tierney has to come out with a nice diving play to make that save, and De Silva is down. Doesn't look like he's hurt too badly, but he did get landed on by a much bigger defender. And now he'll mosey his way back towards his positioning as the ball comes towards the Beacons side of the field. Joshua Kang with control. I mentioned him earlier in the broadcast as a reserve to keep your eye on, and there's a reason why. He is a very good midfielder. Beacons looking for De Silva. Pedro's got 11 goals this season, looking for 12. Fires that one right towards Tierney, but he makes the save with 2 hands and holds on. So UMass Boston leading 1-0. I am John Scudris. This is the Beacons Broadcasting Network production here on Stretch Internet Portal. And if the Beacons are able to win this one to get their 9th victory of the season, they'll improve to 4-0 in the Little East Conference. And my, oh my, how critical that is. You look at the LEC standings, which we went over in full earlier in the broadcast. A 4-0 record would put them a game and a half up on Plymouth State, who's at Rhode Island College at this moment. But they do have the tiebreaker based on overall record. They have the benefit of still having a game against Plymouth State. Granted, it's on the road. Played at New Hampton School in Plymouth, New Hampshire on October 26th. So that will be an absolutely humongous game for playoff positioning if the Beacons want to get that number 1 seed in the LEC Conference. Now, remember, folks, number 1 seeds, home conference matches, it's not always the be-all, end-all. Women's team last year had that home number 1 seed in the LEC tournament, and they went down very early. Demoralizing loss for them, and they came into this season, the women that is, with their eyes set on repeating in the regular season and taking that next step in the postseason. Speaking of taking that next step, it's going to have to come soon here for the Colonials as Sartosi loses that one inside the attacking box. Colonials have the extra attacker but trail by a goal. And since Steve Sosa's come in, he's been very sound in net. Not surprising. Well-coached team here in UMass. Far side of the field for Bierfeld. He's been active. Now to Saunders. Saunders looks to center this one towards the box, but instead it's taken, and now Bierfeld jockeying for possession. Referee will call the foul on Shane, and the Beacons will get control. So UMass Boston on the free kick. It looks like Cunha will be the man to take this one. Marcelo with the opportunity as he looks for help, and now we'll just fire this one downfield. De Silva won't get there. It's Saunders heading this one in front of the Beacons bench, and then a break for UMass Boston as it comes right out of bounds for a Beacons throw-in. So good effort there by Cunha. Ends up working out for him as the Beacons get control momentarily. It comes back towards Saunders on the far end. He's jockeying for possession and loses it. Centered for De Silva. Pedro gets control, looking for help in the middle, can't get it, and instead, with the Beacons down a man, it's going to continue to be tough as it comes forward and out of bounds. So the Beacons on the throw-in as this one comes towards Kang. He looking for some help in the form of De Silva, can't get it, and it will be centered back towards midfield for Cunha. UMass Boston and the Western Connecticut State Colonials jockeying for a big victory here as the winner of this game can take some momentum into the second half of the LEC schedule. Clearly a foul there as getting thrown to the ground was one of the Beacons, Joshua Kang. Pedro De Carvalho's got control from Cunha, looking for Reese. He will go through 3 trees, find Pizzetti. Marcus will just defer back to Pedro, and De Carvalho will probably go cross D to D to Cunha, and he does. 23 left here in the second half of this matchup. Beacons up by a goal on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. UMass Boston's Marcus Pizzetti gets shoved out of the way to the turf. What a physical play, and then another, and the Beacons are going to get called for that. So the play initially made by Sartori, shoving Pizzetti out of the way to take that one, and that's not really surprising. You look at Sartori, this guy dwarfs almost any player out here. 6'2", 209. Those are football player height and weight ratios, not soccer, but he does certainly a good job of using that size to get control. Beacons were then called for the foul on the trip, and Sartori gets the free kick. Chance to tie. Center opportunity, and there's a whistle. And the continuation will not count. We did get a whistle. Play stopped right off the kick. Couldn't hear the whistle from up here, but certainly could tell the Beacons didn't make any effort to play defense there, so it's not like they're the New York Jets. They usually give effort on D. Sartori will line up for number 2. We'll get a reprieve here, although it was a good pass initially on the free kick, and now here we go for big number 10. The free opportunity out in front. Golden chance off the end of the foot and up and out of play. They had the open opportunity in front of Steve Sosa, but unable to get good leg on that one. Off the pass from the Danbury, Connecticut native Sartori. And the Beacons live to see a few more moments of this lead at least. That one came off the foot of Shane Bierfeld, the freshman from Torrington. Unable to get that one towards Sosa's net. De Silva jockeying for possession. That one with Slomski, unable to get it initially, but the good rebound by the Beacons. Pizzetti looking for his second, and this one high and wide. What a shot as the strike from number 10 sails just high and wide of Tierney's net. So the Beacons continuing to at least keep the pressure on here in the second half of play. Leading by 1, down a man. A win today, obviously, would be critical for UMass Boston, improve them to 9-4, 4-0 in the LEC, and send them into a big home game against Salve Regina on Tuesday with more momentum. UMass came into this game on a 2-game winning streak and having won 7 of 8. Absolutely dominating opponents over that time frame. So now here they come the other way, looking to continue the dominance. They've got an open lane, and just sent wide of the net as UMass Boston had everything going for them except the accurate shot as Tierney put good pressure on that one to keep this one out of harm's way. UMass Boston will see a goal kick ensue as Tierney will be the man to take it. And to the near side, an opportunity now for Mandajano as he will look for assistance, finds it towards midfield, and then defensive play by the Beacons, shoving the player out of the way. That was number 8, Vigan Pichaku, who we saw a lot in the first half and not so much here in the second half. Now he has control moving forward as Pichuco with the chance, but it's a good defensive play to send it back and over the visiting bench for a throw-in for the Colonials. Time ticking down for the Colonials as Pichuku has control, looking for help, centers it, intercepted by De Carvalho. Good defensive play made by him, but then it comes back and towards D'Agostino. He now has control. Phil gets through, centers, opportunity, but a good play by Sosa to punch this one and send it out of bounds for what will be a Colonial. Looks like they're giving it to the Beacons, so Beacons throw it. Looks like either Sosa didn't touch it or somebody else did as well. We are trickling down to the final 20 minutes of play. Beacons leading by 1-0. Here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. Intercepted and cleared on a good play by UMass. Chasing after it there is big D-man, Mandajano. He'll defer to Slomski. Under 18 minutes to go. UMass Boston leading by a goal, and now Saunders on the far side looking for help. Give and go opportunity denied. Moving the other way is UMass Boston. Beacons really could almost ice this one up. The stretch pass hit De Silva right in the back. Ended up working out for him. He goes right around Slomski and with the right leg tries to get this one in on Tierney's net, but instead he tumbles down on the wet grass. It's deflected and out of bounds by Slomski. And for UMass Boston, they'll get a corner kick with an opportunity to get the big 2-goal advantage. Steve Sosa in his own net just outside of the box, waiting on this corner kick. Tierney in net for the visiting Colonials. UMass Boston with a chance here. Off the left-legged strike, header is over and out of play. As it comes in front of Slomski, it did hit the head of one of the defenders in the box for the Colonials, so the Beacons keep possession. It looks like Pizzetti will defer to Reese on the throw. And UMass Boston will have to try to find some help here. It looks like Pizzetti is jockeying for it, centers it to the far side of the field. Saunders kept it away from De Silva, but Tierney was there to clean it up and get it out of play as this one is sent out of bounds on a good slide tackle by UMass Boston, and they will see possession stay in the Beacons' favor. So UMass has done a good job here late in the second half of keeping it in the attacking territory. As they continue on that, the throw-in just evades the defender Slomski and is eventually sent back towards Cunha. Cunha, who's played every minute of this game, gets it out and into Beacons' offensive positioning. Centered for an attack in the interior box, but Tierney is able to get there. Ooh, good play on the spin move by UMass Boston. Almost came through with what would have been a highlight reel goal. But instead, Tierney has a chance to clear. Less than 16 to go as UMass Boston clinging to a 1-goal advantage. That was Luis Matos down field on that previous possession with the scoring chance. He's in there for De Silva, who has since exited the game, getting a rest. Out of bounds for a Beacons throw here as we trickle down to the final few minutes. Opportunity to spin around. Instead, he kicks it right out of bounds. So not a good play there by UMass Boston as they turn this one over. Saunders gets control and will have an opportunity to move it forward. Beacons down a man. It doesn't seem like it. Doing a good job so far here in the second half of limiting the opposition's scoring chances. They have had a few, but Steve Sosa was there for them. And now the Beacons will try to slow things down and move things forward. Some of the reserves have entered for Jake Beverland's team, leading by a goal here in the second half. Moving forward with it momentarily, but losing control of it was Gonsalves, and now to the far side of the field, Beacons jockeying for possession. Here they go. Good play by Saunders to keep it away and cleared towards big number 10, Aislinn Sartori. Bad pass there, intercepted by the Beacons, intended for D'Agostino. Here they come moving forward, a chance to get something going or at least keep the offense on the far side. Luis Matos, good job getting around the defender. That was D'Agostino. Tries to center it back towards what looks like to be Douglas Silveira, but instead it's intercepted on Silveira's entrance pass into the box, and they'll get it out of harm's way, at least for the moment. Sartori has it, as he will get it back towards number 18, Mandojano. Looking for D'Agostino, doesn't have him, and now just has to defer back towards number 13, Ryan Hopley. Hopley goes D to D there for Slomski, and Slomski tried to stretch this one towards the visiting bench. Instead, it comes back towards the Beacons on the far side of the field. Cleared back towards Matos, unable to get it and turn around. Instead, he will defer to Paul Earn. And now here's Pedro de Carvalho. Cunha with it from Pedro as the Beacons continuing to really determine the pace of this game, and that has not desisted even though they are down a man. 12 and a half to go here in the second half. Beacons looking to get a critical victory against Western Connecticut State in a game that I think they'll admit they didn't play their best. They got that early goal, and since then they've kind of cruised, getting a few breaks along the way, although to be fair, Western Connecticut got their fair share of breaks here, especially over about a 10-minute time frame towards the end of the first half as Saunders boots that one out of bounds for a throw-in for the Beacons. And in the beginning of the first half, or in the beginning of the second half, I should say, Beacons got a goal wiped off the scoreboard thanks to a controversial offsides call. And then just a minute or two into the second half of play, they're really fantastic all-conference netminder Alfonso Rosales was tossed from the game with a red card after he came out of the box to try to make a sliding play to defend his net on a play by Sartori, and the big Brazilian Sartori ended up tumbling down to the turf and got the call, a red card for the Beacons. Steve Sosa came into the game. He's been in there for now probably about 35, 40 minutes. He's been great. But the Beacons, moreover, have been phenomenal in keeping the scoring chances to a minimum, as the save is made there by the netminder for the visitors. Tierney has it in gold and black pants, as he'll look for some help for Western Connecticut State. Goes through the right leg, Amanda Jano, as the Beacons are able to clear. Getting some help there is Matos as he chases after this one. Luis sees Tierney let it go back for Slomski. Slomski had to hustle over there to keep it away from Matos. He does, as fighting for it now and getting to it is going to be number 13, Ryan Hopley. Matos tries to center this one. He gets a little help. He's got Pizzetti down there. And with control now, with a great right-to-left move, are the Beacons centering it down for Marcus Pizzetti. Instead, the Beacons will, well, it looked like there might have been a whistle. Pizzetti stopped. Instead, the Beacons see Mendishano fall down right in the box, and the Beacons are able to get control in front of D'Agostino. Wow, this turf has just been terrifyingly bad right now, and it's no surprise. The rain has been pouring down since the wee hours of last night. So here come the visitors, Colonials, seeing time tick away, 10 minutes to go. They have a man advantage here, and for the entire second half they've had it. It hasn't worked out as Mateus Reese has control. Reese trying to stretch this one out in front and does. Not a very good play by Mandajano, but instead the centering pass is unsuccessful as Pizzetti was unable to get to Matos on that one, at least initially, as Luis came over to clean it up and find some help. Beacons trying to move forward, but instead it's intercepted, and coming the other way are the Colonials. Beacons have 5 men back, so they have numbers. They're okay. Centered for D'Agostino. He's got to come back and get that one as the wet grass slowed up the pass. D'Agostino's pass to come back from whence it came is blocked down, and now Mandajaro has control, tries to just send this one towards the box, intended, and that was almost a handball, and the man who was getting the pass intended for him, Sartori, wanted it, but he didn't get it. Beacons get a break there. Off the head there of Slomski as the Beacons are able to clear. And get control as Paul Ern will find Pizzetti. Pizzetti with it as he'll move forward, trying to play keep away, but a good header by Mandajaro keeps it in the possession of Saunders and the Colonials. Here comes Lucas looking for some help on the attacking side of the field, but it's taken away by the Beacons defense and moved back towards midfield. Saunders gets to it in front of the press box there on the far side. Lucas Saunders loses control, fine defensive play by the Beacons, and it's out of bounds. We do have a final score from Western Connecticut State University. The women's team has fallen to the Colonials 3-2. That's a game that the women led 2-1 late in the first half of play. They gave up a late goal in that first half, another goal allowed in the second half, and a rare in-conference defeat for the women of UMass Boston soccer as they fall to Western Connecticut State by a goal. Beacons will look to balance that pendulum with a 1-goal win today here from Beaconville as we have less than 8 minutes to go in what will be a fanatical final few frames here from Beaconville. They do get control, 7:55 or so to go. Free kick coming up for Cunha. The Beacons have some easily recognizable players out there. Barbosa's one with that hair of his and, of course, his length. Very tall midfielder. Cunha's another. He's got that European-style hair. As Sosa will come out to get control of it in front of the attacker for the Colonials, right on the lip of the box on the far side. Steve Sosa looking to boot this one out of harm's way. He will. Not a whole lot on that. It stays in Beacon's territory, and it's sent right back towards Sosa. As this one is a beautiful slide tackle. What a play by UMass Boston. And looked to me like that was Paul Earn, as the referee is going to say it wasn't as beautiful as you would have liked. As Earn, I'm not sure what the problem is on the far side. It's not Paul Earn, excuse me, but there is some arguments between the refs and the Beacons midfielder, but the Beacons nonetheless did a good job there, and now we're going to get some tempers flaring. That was clearly a foul, as the Beacons got a little too aggressive after the play, and we'll see what the refs do here. Both players got into each other's faces. We'll see if they both get discipline cards. We'll see. This is going to be interesting. Beacon's already down a man. There's only 6.5 left, so the Beacons do not lose another man, nor do the Colonials. It's just going to be a free kick opportunity, and in fact, the advantage coming here off the kick by Sartori into the box and just out in front of Slomski, who was there for an open opportunity as he hangs his head towards the heavens. And now the Beacons with an opportunity to clear the zone on a goal kick. So Sosa's goal kick is sent towards the near side sideline, and it comes right out of bounds. So a golden opportunity for the Beacons goes awry as Mandajaro with an opportunity to toss this one in. Good play by the Beacons, not a good throw. I don't like that throw opportunity by number 18, as he had an opportunity to just go backwards. Instead, here come the Beacons the other way. Chance for UMass Boston. Slow down, defers, center shot, just wide, as that one would have been the nail in the proverbial coffin. UMass Boston had a chance to take a 2-goal lead, and just through the outstretched fingertips and wide of the net, as that one was nearly the backbreaker. So UMass Boston gives just a bit of hope to the visiting Colonials. Centered up towards the attacking zone. UMass Boston's Pedro de Carvalho can't keep it away. Here is Caprino centering it there for Sartori. Sartori tries to muscle his way through. Cunha denies him and clears. Moving forward are the Beacons. Opportunity here. They have no numbers, but a great speed play to get through and eventually lose it out of bounds for UMass Boston. Beacons getting control, Paul Earn. Earn loses it out of bounds. What's the call? Off the Colonials. Beacons keep possession. Reese looking for some assistance on the throw. We'll see if he tries to throw it towards middle of the field. Instead, he does do the smart thing and just goes back towards the baseline down the sideline. It's blocked out of bounds off of UMass Boston, and a goal kick will ensue. Moving quickly now is Tierney and the visitors. 4 minutes to go. 4 minutes left here in the second half of play as Slomski able to get it forward. Here is D'Agostino centering this one to the far side. Back from whence it came. Good play by the Beacons as this one is taken up the near side of the field. UMass trying to penetrate the defense. They have one man down, only 3 attackers. One of those is Barbosa, who will get the ball now. Rolando to the far side, getting around the defender, but a fine play made there by Slomski, and he will prevent any further advantage for a moment at least until he turned it over. Barbosa kept it in bounds. Barbosa back to the point in front of the Beacons bench. We are down to the final 3 minutes. 3 and change to go. UMass Boston eventually sees this one go out on the visiting team. Beacons leading by a goal. 3 and change left. Barbosa. And we'll have a whistle and an offsides call on the Beacons, so here come the Colonials. Here is Slomsky looking for assistance, boots this one deep, and it comes right off the Beacons, and moving forward they come. UMass Boston continues their dominance towards the midfield line, doing a good job not letting anyone get behind them. Saunders with the ball. He tries to center this one on the stretch pass intended for Caprino. Nothing there. Sosa covers and will do a good job of milking the clock by laying on the ball for a few seconds. 2.5 to go. UMass Boston will improve to 4-0 in the conference with a victory. Meanwhile, Western Connecticut State will fall to 0-4. Still some time, though, in a one-goal game for Western to change that storyline. Beacons with tons of action towards the near side box. Unfortunately, though, for the Colonials, they can't get it through a very sound defensive front. Barbosa penetrates and then eventually tumbles down, and they'll get a whistle. Less than 2 to go as the Beacons have control on the throw-in. A victory here has to be considered a significant achievement, especially considering that they're playing one of these teams that they should beat. And when you get an early lead, you can find lackadaisical play on a team that's won 7 of 8, but you're not going to see it. Beacons continue to play great D, despite the fact they've been a man down, and that man is their goalie the entire second half. De Carvalho whiffed on it. Sartori almost had a golden opportunity, but instead it will trickle out of bounds, and the Beacons get a break as they'll get the throw in with less than 1.5 to go. Beacons unable to keep that one in. It would have been a 2-on-1 going the other way if they could have. Unfortunately for them, it did go out of bounds. Slomsky able to get this one inbounds with some help from Hopley, and now Sartori has it. Big Sartori looking for, Caprino. Man, the Beacons doing a phenomenal job defensively, just keeping it out of their own possession here, and that's exactly what you want to do. You can boot this thing down to the far side. Who cares if anyone's down there? There's less than a minute to go. Half a minute to go here in the second half of play. Beacons leading by a goal, and now we'll get another whistle. Or at least an advantage. Nope, neither. So Beacons get a break, and it looked like the player went down. It was tripped by a Beacon as Caprino is able to send this one towards the far side. Beacons jockeying for possession. Saunders has it. Saunders surrounded, goes down, and they'll get a whistle. But there's not much time left. 30 seconds to go. Beacons, knowing this, they will just all surround the net. This is the last chance for romance, folks, and they know it. Caprino looking for help in the box. A cavalcade of blue and white jerseys centering around Steve Sosa. This is the moment, and this one goes into the box, centering opportunity off the leg. It eventually comes out towards the lip of the box and out. UMass Boston with one clear can win this game, and they will. The Beacons clear it, and that will do it. The horn sounds, and what a huge victory for UMass Boston. A Little East Conference matchup, and in a game that they got an early 1-0 lead on a goal by Marcus Pizzetti. They end up hanging on by that final score. And when you just look at the game on the surface, it wasn't exactly the most impressive matchup, and a 1-0 win against the last-place team in your conference certainly doesn't look like it's all that much to brag about. But when you look at what happened towards the halfway point of this game, Beacons almost scored their second goal. It was called back on a very close and controversial offsides call. And then, after they came out of the locker room, their star goalie, Alfonso Rosales, kicked out of the game with a red card because of a play that really wasn't malicious. There was nothing malicious about it, no bad intent. It was just a play he came out to try to make. Eventually, it trickled into Sartori's grasp, and the two collided, and the Beacons netminder was tossed. In came Steve Sosa. Beacons were a man down, and they did everything they could to make sure that didn't hurt them. Beacons win it 1-0 as they improve to 4-0 in the conference, and of course, now a sparkling 9-4 record overall. As we look ahead to what's coming up for the Beacons here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network on Tuesday, October 14th, in just 3 days, the Beacons will take on Salve Regina for what will be a spectacular matchup at 3 p.m. right here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. They'll then head out onto the road for an LEC matchup at the Keene State Owls next Saturday at 1 before finishing up the week ahead with a matchup on October 22nd at Worcester State under the lights at 7 p.m. I want to thank the broadcasting crew here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. As always, producer Seth Arensky doing a good job setting us up here indoors out of the elements. Brian Fiella doing a great job. What else is new? A wizard on the diamond at the shortstop position, a wizard on the sticks here in the broadcast booth. A color will be Michael Counterman, who is a 2016, a future graduate of the Beacons, as he, once again, doing a great job. And what can I say about Kyle Zatrowski on the camera? Just once again, an A-plus job by the crew here on the Beacons Broadcasting Network. Not only did we do a fine job up here, but a fine job down on the field for the Beacons as the soccer game is over, the soccer season continues, and the Beacons' 2014-2015 athletic campaign moves on. The Beacons win 1-0 on a goal by Marcus Pizzetti. They are 9-4 overall, 4-0 in the LEC, and we'll see you right back here on Tuesday for a big game against Salve Regina. For everyone involved in the broadcast, I am John Skudris. Good night, good luck, and good soccer. We'll see you next time on the Beacons Broadcasting Network.